Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of the Sit Down. This is going to be 9.2 with the big homie Carlos, and I know I had kind of preference. We're going to talk about Carlos's mindset when it comes to sort of business, financial aspects, stock market, things like that. And before we do that, we're going to talk about our field a little bit more, PTA.
Yeah.
And then we'll kind of string that into the whole financial aspects. So Carlos, tell me some of your experiences when it comes to being a PTA. Like, what are because I know, at least for me, right?
Yeah.
Being in the field, it's really spurred on some growth, right?
Yeah.
And this is probably the whole reason why I have a YouTube channel. It's because one of my patients kind of inspired me to do, right?
Good.
And I know, at least for you, you've been in the field double the amount of time I've been in. You know, so I know you probably have a bunch of experience when it comes to patients.
Yeah. Experience, man. It's just like working in the field. You work a lot with the elderly folk, retirees, you know. So you get to kind of pick the brain, you know, because you have to build rapport with your patient, you know. For you to become a good therapist, you have to have the empathy, good listening skills, and it's not clinical, but also like personal skills. So you have to be a people person, you know. So just a lot of stories and a lot of people you talk to and inspire you or ask you questions and make you wonder, oh wow, I never thought about it this way.
Sure.
So, and also makes you the way you express yourself, talk to persons, almost like helps you mature. You know, you can talk to like 80-year-old that you would talk to your homeboy. You know, so it's kind of like it's good overall the experience. You know, as far as the clinical aspect goes, it's great. My favorite part is seeing results. You know, you see somebody that's in a lot of pain, very depressed, they can't walk, they can't lift the arm, you know, past their neck, past their, their shoulder, level, and just you being able to help them reach that goal of theirs. And not only that, but we're teachers. We teach them a lot because we're in the preventative care field, and we're trying to do everything in our power to avoid medications, injections, surgeries. You ask somebody, oh, you might get surgery, they freak out. Nobody wants to get surgery. Mm-hmm. If I could fix somebody just by doing soft tissue, doing some kind of mobilization, exercise, and teaching them how to maintain that, then I did my job. You know?
Exactly.
I have a little saying called, when you're done with physical therapy, you gotta maintain what you gained.
Yep.
You know, it's not like I'm not gonna fix something. Let's say you were hurting for 6 months. I got 4-6 weeks to fix it, but then it could easily come back. So you have to do your homework, and you have to do your stretching, you have to do your exercising, you have to watch your body mechanics, how you lift things and all that. So it's more of like a lifestyle change, if you want to call it that.
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think that's a big misconception when it comes to physical therapy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a huge aspect of a partnership, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I found is that, physical therapy, it's a partnership between you and your patient, right?
Correct.
Your patient has to trust you equally as much as you trust them.
Correct.
Right? And like you had said, we see our patients, if we see them for 40 minutes a session, 3 times a week, right? That's roughly 2 hours.
Right.
There's 180 hours in a week.
Exactly.
They can't get better in just 2 hours. It's going to take an equal amount of effort on their part at home to try to fix that stuff.
Correct.
Right? And that's where the rapport comes in. Because if the patient doesn't trust you, if the patient doesn't understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, what we're trying to accomplish as a team, they're not going to apply themselves at home. And that's something I learned through trial and error. Right? Because I didn't put as much emphasis on, when I first started in the field, on the patients carrying their load at home, doing their part, right? And I wasn't necessarily getting the results that I know they should be getting. Because that's one of the most frustrating things in therapy.
Yeah.
When you're doing all the right stuff. You're doing all the right stuff. You know you're doing all the right stuff, but they're just not getting there.
Right.
And it's because you dropped the ball as a therapist in terms of the education.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so important, and that's one thing I'm grateful for when it comes to therapy is part of the reason I can talk the way I talk now. I can vocalize certain things.
Correct.
And I can speak the way I can speak, have a conversation with anybody.
Because of your experience.
It's partially due to physical therapy.
Patients,
right. Because I see, on an average day, I'll see somebody who's 11, and then I'll see somebody who's 93.
So
especially when
you're working outpatient, you're constantly shifting gears. You could have your 20-year-old that got in a car accident, and you could have your 80-year-old that had a hip replacement, or you could have your 45-year-old that pulled his back out working construction. So in outpatient, you're always shifting gears, and you have to adapt. You have to be very adaptable and just, be able to see all kinds of people.
Definitely. And what's so cool about it too is, something that I realized, especially this year, is how applicable that adaptation aspect is when it comes to life. Because you learn, like you had said, Carlos, you learn how to adapt to situations. You learn how to critically think outside the box, and understand the situation in its totality. And for me, I applied a lot of what I've been doing in physical therapy to myself when I'm at home this year.
You practice what you preach.
Exactly right. In terms of just being able to adapt to a different stimulus, right? This whole year has been a different kind of stimulus for everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
It's been a crazy year.
Yeah, it definitely has. And I think the thing that separates the people who succeed and the people who don't are the ones that can adapt to different situations.
Very true.
And in therapy, I think at least for me, it seems like you as well, Carlos, has really kind of spurred on that ability.
And adapting, I don't know if you know that I do freelance work, right? So shifting from full-time to independent contractor was a little bit nerve-wracking at first.
And before you go into further, explain what that means exactly. I know what it means, but I'm in the therapy field. What does that mean, being an independent contractor?
All right, let's say you're therapist and you work at a clinic, you're employed full-time by one company, you W-2, you pay your, what is it, W-2, 1099, you pay your own taxes, W-2, they take taxes out of your paycheck, right? So when you're an independent contractor, you're pretty much working for yourself, providing your services to whoever needs them, and you have a rate, then you get paid that rate, and then you manage, you do your own taxes at the end of the year, you take your expenses. You're pretty much self-employed, if you want to call it that. Yeah, self-employed. Yeah. So at first, that transition was a little like nerve-wracking at first, because you're on your own pretty much.
Yeah.
So you have to market yourself to multiple clinics, multiple nursing homes, and then you have to build a caseload so you have enough hours for a week. And I've studied everything from, all right, which months are busier, which clinics are busier, which clinics are keeping me busier. I have it like all written down, and how I do my own schedule. I know like the owners of DORs of every clinic, and you always got to make yourself available, because a lot of people say, hey Colin, can you come in and work Friday? And you're like, no, I can't. Oh, what about Saturday? No, I can't. If you start saying no, then they start putting you in the back.
Yep, you're gonna stop calling.
In the back row, so you're like their last choice. But if you're like, yeah, I'll be there in 30 minutes, or yeah, I can work an extra 2 hours, then you become reliable.
Yes.
And people appreciate that, and they like that, so you get more steady work. So, been doing like freelance work for about almost 3 years now, and it's been going steady, I would say I'm in 3 outpatient clinics, 2 nursing homes, and the only time it was slow, because everybody was slow, was when COVID hit,
Right.
So, but that comes in the budgeting part.
Right.
You have to be able to weather the storm too when you work for yourself. You can't, it's not always going to be like, rainbows every day. There's going to be the good times where you're making good money or working steadily, and there's going to be what I call it like drought. It's feast or famine, Summertime is usually dead, slow, boom, 10 hours a week, that's how you get it. Season in October to March, you're pulling 50, I've pulled 60-hour weeks before, so. But just because you're working 60-hour weeks doesn't mean you can just blow your money away. You have to stack bread for the summer, So.
And that's something that I think our field provides that a lot of fields don't provide, in the sense of you have to be mature when it comes to your money.
Yeah.
You have to be smart when it comes to your finances, because like you had said, we do have season, we do have off season. Right? And like you had said, off season for us, we're hourly people. So if we don't have people on the schedule, we're not going to get paid. That's just what it is.
Right.
So you have to understand the ebbs and flows when it comes to how things work. And I know for me, at least my first year, I came in right in February. So you already know what that means. I was like, dang, well, my first day.
Go right into the wolves.
Yeah, my first day I had 16 people, dog. And I was like, save me.
I'm gonna tell your viewers a little story about Colin. Then they might not know. When Colin was hired at the current employer where we met at, I didn't know he was a new grad. I didn't know he was a therapist. I thought he was just like like a young kid out of high school observing. Like, I thought he was just like doing observation hours. Like, yeah, when I graduate high school, I want to be a therapist. You know, like one of them things. But then Tony was like, no, he might get hired. He's a therapist. He passes boards. And I was like, that's what's up. That's what's up. You know, respecting him on that being so young, you already finished college. You got a certification that you can start working.
Yeah.
At how old were you when you started working?
I was 20. I just turned 22 in October.
22.
Yeah, 22.
Right. So you were the youngest therapist in the clinic.
Yep, by 5 years.
Yeah.
I think Jess was the next youngest one.
Yeah.
Jessie, she was 26. 27-ish, I think. Yeah.
But it was so odd because I was like, hey, this is nice kid. You just look so young. I didn't think, honestly, no offense, you know, I didn't think you were a therapist. I thought you were just like observation hours to see what kind of like field you wanted to get into. And but yeah, once I started working, it was like, we had good times, you know?
Yeah, great times.
We used to crack at each other so much.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, when I first started working at the place where Carlos worked, like he had said, I was the youngest person there at the time, so I was at the butt end of every single joke. From the second I walked in the door to the second I left, I was getting ripped the whole day.
Yeah, what we used to call you? Like Clark, like mini Clark Kent or
something
like that? Tobey Maguire from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
We used to just crack at each other all day, man.
Yeah, it was fun.
And back then, our director, like, he used to be such a jokester. He was just like, nobody would save the patient. He could have been 9 years old, he was still cracking, you know? So it was a good time. But at first, when I started working there, he was hard to figure out because he had like that very poker face, like this was happy, this was sad, this was angry. I was like, is this serious?
Yeah, right. What is going on?
Is he like joking? Is it serious? What's going on?
I don't know if you remember. My first week there was actually the director's last week there at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I was sending to the director for the first week.
Yeah.
And he sent every single note back. He said, because that's how he was though, right?
Yeah.
He had a good high standard for the quality of work that we needed to provide.
And it's good that you started off that way because when you're a new grad, you're a sponge. You're absorbing everything. So for him to have the high standard, your standards are already high from the beginning.
Exactly.
So it sets like the road for.
And a lot of the stuff he only in that week that he was there.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff that he taught me, I still use today.
Yeah, of course. Same here. I call him my mentor. Yeah. Man, I was gonna shout out to Tony, man. That's the name, Tony.
Shout out Tony.
Big shout out to Tony.
Big shout out Tony.
Yeah,
for real.
Big T, yeah, man.
But yeah, and that's one thing I also realized when it comes to therapy that I didn't appreciate, I didn't understand at first is, you meet people, just like we meet patients, we also meet therapists too, right?
Right.
When you work around a therapist, you're exchanging ideas and you get to learn about somebody, right? And that's part of the reason why we're sitting here now.
Yeah.
We've been boys since 2017.
Right.
And it's 2020 now, and it's not like we've been working together the entire time. We worked together for a year and a half, and then you went into freelance work.
Right.
We've still been boys ever since. Because that's the bond that you build with fellow therapists.
We've seen each other grow.
Of course.
I've seen you grow. I've seen you grow as a person. Over the years. And I'm sure you've seen me like grow also as a therapist. Like to go on freelance, that was
that's big.
You have to
that's big.
You have to be like a stickler. You have to be like analytical about everything, about your clinics, about your hours, about your time of the year, about You
have to be orderly. You have to understand. Yeah. You have to understand what you're trying to do before you even start to do it.
And you have to be good because
yes, you do.
Like you said, like when you first asked me to come here, you wanted to talk about business, and I was like, well, I don't have a business. I don't have employees. I don't have I'm not a business owner, but I am self-employed. I'm an independent contractor, so technically,
you are the business,
if you want to call it that.
I mean, you are, right?
Right.
You are your business, right?
Correct.
What
Correct.
you produce is the product of your business, right?
So that pushes you to raise the bar of your quality of care because you want to be good. You want patients to request you. You want to keep the director of rehab happy. You want to make yourself available.
Right.
So all that just keeps your standards high.
Yes.
Raising the bar, because if you slack off, you're just hurting yourself.
Yep.
It's not like you can just wing it. You can, working 40 hours a week, you can wing it, and you're still gonna get paid.
Right. There's no pressure there.
There's no wing.
There's no pressure.
When you work for yourself, when you're a business owner, you can't wing it because you are the business.
Exactly. And I would even say, anybody in physical therapy. You know, you are your own business.
You are.
You know, because again, being a PTA, we're hourly people. So if you don't provide a good product, you know, if you don't represent yourself well, if you don't have people skills, if you can't build rapport, if you can't produce a product that produces results, people aren't going to go onto your schedule again, right? And if they don't go onto your schedule, now, like you had said, you're going to hurt yourself.
In my mindset when I go to work every morning is like, make them fall in love with you. You know, not just your clinical aspect, like you got to know your stuff, but your personality, your empathy, rapport. Everybody's a book, you know? You're a book, I'm a book, or watching this a book. Everybody got a story. And if you remember something specific about a person, they're like, oh, you know what? Oh, I appreciate that, you know? Like I could talk to you, you're my patient. Hey, Colin, how's the show going on, you know? Or how the Celtics do, you know? Everybody has that one trait that makes them unique. So, and that people appreciate that. You might not notice it, but
they do.
They'll remember you.
Yep, because
they'll remember you.
You know, and we're going to kind of get into this in a second, you know, when you educate yourself on your own time, and you read books, you read certain things to educate yourself, you understand that.
Going into finance next?
Yeah, oh yeah. All right. You understand, right? You understand how people work, right? Because people are a machine. They all, not all, but a lot of people all like the same sorts of things. It's human nature, right? People like to be appreciated. People like to be understood. People like to be recognized.
Listen to.
Exactly right. It's human nature. I like it, you like it, we all like it. You know, that's what it is. And like you had said, doing that stuff in your own time, that empowers you to understand how the person works, and it can bleed into every area of life. You know,
we all have the same 24 hours.
Exactly right.
You know,
what do you do with it is different than what I do.
Exactly.
Yep. And what's funny is, I was actually working with a patient today. This is the first time I had seen him. The first time I'd seen this patient today, and we're talking, chopping it up. I think he actually was a Cubano. I think. Which? He's a Cubano. He's a Cuban.
Oh.
I think. And. Okay. So we're talking, and like he's kind of hard. He has a pretty thick accent, so I'm working hard to like really understand him.
I'm not trying to laugh. I can just so see this.
And he's an OG Cuban too, so he like it's a real accent. And he's been in the States for like 50 years, so it's like a thick, real accent.
OG Cuban, yeah.
But he's super smart. Oh yeah. Super. He was telling me stuff today. He said something. There's a similarity between death and the sun. And I was like, what? He was like, the death and the sun, they're both there every single day. It's just you choose not to look at it. What? And then I thought about it. I was like, yo, that is the truth. Yeah. I was like, what? Yeah. And then one thing he said to me, he was like, you want to know what? I appreciate you, and he was like, you earned my respect today. I was like, oh, okay. I appreciate that. And he was like,
he said that to you.
He said that to me. He said, I'll tell you why. And I was like, I wasn't really sure. I was like, okay. He goes, because you were a personable person. You brought energy. You were somebody that I could have a conversation with. I feel comfortable around you.
Some people like the most, like, it's sad to think this way, but for some folk, the more like coming to therapy is like the only aspect of like social interaction they're gonna have all day. Like Marty, that
big Marty,
Uncle Marty. Uncle. He like coming to the clinic for therapy is his like social hour. He likes to tell jokes. He likes to like talk to the people, like speak out loud. He wants to be the center, and I let him have it, because I don't mind. He's a good guy, but it's deeper than therapy, if you want to call it that.
That's it, and that's so true, and that again, it comes along with what you have inside of you. It's a lot of people are in the same field as us, Carlos, but they don't think like we do.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think what separates us from a lot of other people is that, we took time to dive into the right stuff, to fill ourselves with the right kind of things, right?
Dig deeper.
Reading, listening to certain people, creating a mindset. Yeah. And I think the thing that's infectious about that is that, we're setting an example for the younger kids, like myself and you. Yeah. You were an example for me to kind of look up to.
Appreciate it.
And I mean, that's just the truth though, right? And that's the thing I'm trying to think about too, even though I'm 25, I've been in the field almost 4 years, there's going to be a new grad that comes in one day that might look up to me. I need to make sure I'm doing my stuff correctly.
You need to be on your A game.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's easy to wing it. You can do ball squeezes all day. That's not going to get you anywhere, Yep. But if you're like, you gotta keep evolving, like learning constantly, you know? I'm just like, I signed up for this APP course now, Advanced Proficiency Pathway from the APTA.
Okay.
All right, and you specialize in a particular field of therapy, whether it's orthopedics, cardiac,
geriatrics.
So you have to have X amount of CEUs, X amount of hours, and you have to have a mentor, a physical therapist, sign off on your stuff.
Nice.
So that's the next step, you know? Almost like you have to keep getting better and taking it to the next level and pushing the bar, because complacency will kill you, it'll make you lazy, and it'll make you just, if you're just like working just to wing it, it's just gonna make you hate life, right?
Yeah, seriously.
That's when you get those people that go, TGIF, or is it Friday yet? Oh God, and that drives me crazy.
Me too.
It's just like our buddy Tulane used to say, they're EVs, energy vampires.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't like to be around people that are always whining and complaining. It's like, I'm like TGIM, you know? Why not, you know?
What does that stand for?
Thank God it's Monday.
Sure.
Not many people say that, but
no. And you know, it's a mentality.
Whenever I get work, I appreciate it, because you know I'm self-employed. Shit, I need to work, you know. So I look forward to work.
I do too.
You know.
I do too. You know, and I think
you should. And if you're like a business owner, you should look forward to like going to work on Monday. You should look forward to like killing it this week.
Yeah. Killing
it this month. Doing better this year than you did last. Because otherwise, complacency will kill you, bro.
Exactly. You know, and I think the thing that's crazy too is, you know, that's in anything.
Yeah.
But I don't, you know, my question is, you know, why don't more people think like that?
Yeah.
You know, and again, you know, we kind of talked about this off camera about something completely different. You know, is it the standard? You know, is it what they're taught to think? You know, oh, it's Friday, thank God. You know, we have the weekend, oh, thank God. But, you know, for us, you know, we are the business. You know, we are the product. So you can't think that way, because like you said, that does breed complacency. That breeds a lack of understanding of what your place is and what your ability to create an impact is.
Exactly.
And when you don't understand that, that's when you burn out. That's when you can't produce a product. That's when you don't hit home with people.
Exactly.
And that's when, I don't want to say fail, but when you fail as a therapist. Yeah. That's when you fail as a therapist.
And you start, you know, just gotta keep raising the bar every year, man.
And that's it.
Getting better.
Yep.
That's it.
And Carlos, let me ask you this before we close this on out.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you did to continue to push yourself to raise that bar? What was one thing you did to continue to push yourself forward?
As far as?
Therapy.
Therapy?
Yep.
Well, as far as therapy, it's, well, I'm trying to think.
That's a good question, huh?
As far as therapy, okay, as far as therapy, all right. I knew that I didn't know it all. So I wanted to dig deeper. Like for example, if you're talking about the shoulder joint, I know what I learned at South. I know my basic range of motion, strength testing, but I want to be like a master manual therapist. I wanted to know like, do this. I know exactly what's wrong with you, and I know exactly how to fix it. I know the anatomy, the physiology. I know it like the back of my hand.
Isn't that such a good feeling?
Yeah. And I'm still learning about it.
Of course, always will be.
There's tons of video, like I'll like follow people on Instagram or just learn on YouTube or just research certain stuff when I get stuck about something. Sure. Whenever somebody would throw me a question and I'm just like, you know what, I'm not 100% sure, but I'll get back to you. And people appreciate the honesty.
Yes.
You know, they know when you're bullshitting them. They're like, but if you tell them, you know what, I know this, I'm not sure about that one. Let me get back to my colleague, or I'll find the answer for you. Boom. But there's so much to learn. You can dig deep as far as like insurance reimbursement. You can dig deep as far as like the physiology of the shoulder or the hip. Right. You could dig deep as far as like what percentage of people fall at what age. There's a chart that tells you from 60 to 70, 70 to 80, 80 to 90, there's a higher percentage of a person to fall. Like stuff like that. You know, I'm not sure if you do that, but there's just a lot more you can learn. You can always dig deeper.
Always.
We have to want it though.
And that's it.
You can wing it. I've seen a lot of people wing it, but you have to want it. You have to keep learning. You know. And as far as education-wise, yeah, you can raise the bar and go back to school and everything, get more certifications. You know, you have to, of course, budget yourself within your limits. You don't want to build more debt, and it goes in vain. You know, you can be like the smartest person, but you still be broke. You know, you don't want to be one of those guys. You want to like not scared. You want to be smart and compensated for your, you know, for your effort.
And that's it, you know. And again, you know, in our field, those two go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be the same entity last week as you were this week and expect to be wanted.
Yeah.
The best entity is one that's continuing to evolve and to change.
And one of the things I love about freelance work, it keeps me on my toes.
Yeah.
You go to a place, you don't know anybody, you don't know how the place is set up, you don't know any of your patients in your caseload, you don't know the software. You have to get on the ball, you have to get on the ball quick.
You gotta step up.
And then once you master that, it feels like no matter what you throw at me, I feel like I'm ready. Mm-hmm. You can throw at me Kasamba, Web PT, or Office, you know, Thera Office, or, you know, you can send me to a nursing home or home health or outpatient. It's like been there, done that, you know, like, and it just makes you like a better versatile therapist that no matter where you go, you're ready, you know?
And that was the thing for me, you know, to kind of answer my own question.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the thing that always made me sort of raise the needle was the fact that I wanted to make sure that there was never a question that was asked that I didn't have an answer
that you
for.
didn't know.
That
Correct.
I didn't know.
Correct.
And for me, that drove me so much because I don't know if it was my ego, I don't know if it was me wanting to be perfect, I'm not exactly sure, but I always hated it when somebody asked me a question that I didn't know an answer to, because in my mind I feel like I should know. Right? So for me, you know, my biggest goal was I want to make sure, I want to be so good that there's not a question that can be asked that I don't know an answer to.
Yeah. Of course.
You know, and it's so funny because we, you know, two different kinds of ways to go about it, but still achieving the same sort of thing.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
And I think that's one of the reasons, you know, why therapy is such a, I would call it underrated, you know, in a sense, an underrated field, but it's so valuable.
Very valuable.
So valuable, yeah.
You can literally change somebody's life, you know, without, of course, like being too arrogant about it, but
I mean, the arrogance or the truth, you know, that's the truth to me.
But like changing somebody's perspective on exercise, on longevity, on preventative care, it's huge.
Yeah.
And you gotta say it like I use the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want to say something to somebody that's gonna sink in, and 5 years from now they're gonna be like, yeah, I remember that. You know, that therapist told me to pick my feet up when I walk. Something so simple, but if it sinks in, you can really help somebody.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, and it's well,
I know,
we'll
right?
close this one off.
We
We
didn't
didn't talk anything about business, but we're gonna go into that on this next episode. I promise.
This was therapy talk.
That was all therapy talk.
What's next?
We gotta talk about business, bro.
Okay.
We got to. So that was 9.2, the sit down. We talked a lot about our field, and I apologize we didn't get into business, but I thought that was really important to talk about. So
Is this for any up and coming therapists?
Yes.
Anybody working physical therapy in the field? Anybody that's potentially pursuing or wants a career in physical therapy? We're both therapists.
Yep. Hit us up.
Hit the
Please contact us.
Hit the comment section.
Comment section,
Don't be
please.
shy.
Ask us questions. You know, we like to bounce ideas off you guys too.
And we don't know, we'll find the answer for you.
Exactly right. But alrighty, y'all. That was 9.2 to sit down with my man Carlos. We'll be seeing you soon with 9.3. Until then, see you on the next one. Later. You're gonna see a couple boxes in a little circle. So over here, this is gonna be a playlist with a whole bunch of other videos that I posted. If you like what you saw so far from the sit down, you'll be able to keep up with everything right there. Right here is gonna be the video to my previous video. And then right here, click that circle there. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell icon to make sure you get all the updates whenever I come out with some new content. I appreciate the support. Let's keep the train going. Here we go.